So, here's take two. I know it's shining off the glasses here. Hi, my name's Steve. I've set up this channel primarily to talk and chat and impart knowledge, hopefully. Um, so about truth. We're all seeking truth, I think. At least that's what I hope. And the thing is, the way I look at it is, we need to look at what is truth. So we need to look at what we believe first, or what I believe, what you believe. Look at that in terms of what we've been told, what we've been taught, what we've watched, what we've listened to. And I think we're all searching for truth. Only if we're going to find this elusive thing, we need to, once we find some truth, we need to use it for good and to make a change. And the only way to do that, as far as I can see, is to talk to each other. You know, I mean, so many arguments on the internet, it's unreal. So, like a few people have done on the internet the past few years I've been watching, it's about looking at your own truth, swapping ideas, and getting back to basics, really. In that, if you have all these preconceived ideas about we went to the moon, for example, that the climate's changing, which is really funny to me because the climate's always changing. I mean, I could go on about that for hours, probably, but originally it was called global warming. I think prior to that, it was going to be global cooling. They were expecting an ice age, then they were expecting us to get all fried. Now it's called climate change. Thing that people don't seem to maybe put onto or take in is that the climate's always changing. I mean, that's just one thing out of many, many things. 9/11, the big one, you know. So my hope in making these little clips, at least it's my first attempt, is to try and take it back to basics. For me, I didn't accept the official line on virtually anything. I thought that, things were pretty bad until after 9/11. I realised that they're much, much, much worse in many ways, which led to some pretty deep soul searching and really psychological problems and depression, anxiety, all that stuff. So I think one thing that a lot of people do believe is that we're being lied to, and it's on a massive scale. Since the advent of radio and television, at least, I mean, they are primary media that can influence the masses, can and do and have influenced the masses. Science is another one. Scientism, a lot of it is. For example, science is supposed to deal with empirical stuff, and we all sort of understand that. What's being thrown at us these days is a lot of pseudoscience, that people scientism, And people will say, as soon as you start questioning these things, they will say, "Oh, but look, you're on a laptop. You know, you own a mobile phone. You've got a car. All this sort of stuff." And it's come to my understanding that science didn't make any of this stuff. It was engineers who made most of this stuff. Science does research and tries to explain how things work. Science is taking credit for Western civilization, effectively. Whereas that could be possibly, health. It could be, when plumbing first invented. Science didn't invent plumbing. Things like that. I mean, and people just assume that, because they're on a computer, they've got a car, or there's an airplane in the sky. I mean, take airplanes. Science didn't invent airplanes. Inventors started with airplanes. And then it was passed on to engineers, and then science came along and said, "Oh, right, this thing flies, and this is how it does it. This is the principles involved in how it works." So it frustrates me that science gets all these kudos and all this money, when it's a lot of the time people like you and me who see something that can be improved, or see something from the ground up, and then science will come along and try and tell us how it works. But even from a scientific standpoint, the science is sorely lacking. You can look at evolution; it's full of holes, so many holes you wouldn't believe. There's so much to talk about. There's so much to discuss. It's difficult to know where to start, really. But I think where we've got to try and start is from basics. We're all intelligence people. You know, I think it's like for 9/11, the narrative doesn't add up, and everybody knows that. And it seems to me that most people know that. So if that's the case, most people know that 9/11 isn't what it's said to be. Far from trying to work it out how it happened and why and who, I think we just got to start from the fact that it's not true. I mean, of course, it did happen. I'm not saying that. I think it's a disaster for me personally. But I think if you take something like that and you explore that idea that that whole thing is a lie, you have to ask yourself, where does that leave us in terms of other such things, as I mentioned, like climate change? It's being pushed really hard, and so much money is going into these things. It's just unbelievable. I mean, NASA. What can you say about NASA? $52 million a day for the last 50 years. And nothing much has happened. As far as sending people anywhere, since I was a child. I really do believe that we're being played big time. But of course, people are invested in these things. If we prove that science isn't what it says it is, then the whole thing crashes or something like that. Or if we prove that NASA isn't what they say they are, oh, what about jobs? What about people? I know it's scary, really, in that way. But will survive it. I think people have to start being honest with themselves and each other and stop using conspiracy theory. You're a conspiracy theorist. No, I call it conspiracy fact. A lot of this stuff. Owen Benjamin will call it conspiracy query. No, but for me, I'm not afraid anymore of this stuff. I've found something bigger than that spiritually, and I'm working from that point of view. Hence, I'm putting myself in front of a camera. I'm trying to talk to some people who are willing to listen. So it's just an introductory video, really, of some of the things that I and a couple of friends I know are on the same. We're all in the same boat, but we're on the same page. Many more things to talk about, but yeah. My name's Steve. I live in London. Not the best place in the world. I wouldn't, if I was you, I'd move from the cities, but I have no choices to stay. Anyway, I could go on and on and on. For now, I'll leave it there and be blessed. Thank you very much for listening.